This is the Navigating Adult ADHD podcast, here to help you navigate and thrive with ADHD in adulthood. I'm your host, Zena, and I was diagnosed at age 36. As with many ADHDers, I have a rebellious and nonconformist style, and that means that there will likely be swearing in the coming episode. Please be mindful of any little people. Hello, my fellow ADHDers, and welcome back to the Navigating Adult ADHD podcast, where today we're going to talk about coping with ADHD. Before we do that, I've got a little favor. Would you please share this podcast with somebody you know who has ADHD? I would be so grateful. And if you could leave us a rating and review if you're enjoying the content, that would be amazing. I would love to help more people with ADHD to discover us. That would be incredible. All right, my friends. So let's talk about coping with ADHD. And I went to the Googles for what it means to cope with something. And it said to cope with something is to deal with and attempt to overcome problems and difficulties. Now, I sat with that for a bit because I think coping is what most people think they need to do. As in, they need to take certain actions and do certain things in order to cope. And if they do those certain things and take those certain actions, then they will feel better. But in actual fact, we have it backwards. We don't need to do anything to feel better. We need to change our thoughts about the thing that we are trying to cope with, and then we will feel better. So in order to cope with ADHD, we don't need to change what we are doing. We need to change what we are thinking. So stay with me, my friends, because in order to help you cope, in order to help you feel better and manage your ADHD symptoms, we need to lay some foundations for Psychology 101. Okay? So what you think determines how you feel. And how you feel determines what you do or what you don't do. Now, this is incredibly important to know, and here is why. When we have negative thoughts about our ADHD, we will feel negatively about our ADHD. And when we feel negatively about our ADHD, we then take negative actions. So this might look like when I'm thinking, I wish I didn't have ADHD, this sucks. When I think that, I feel helpless. And when I feel helpless, I generally give up on things. I go and watch Netflix instead. I might pick a fight with my partner. I generally go into a place of self-pity and I want the other people around me to feel sorry for me as well. Whereas when I'm thinking ADHD is my superpower, I then feel empowered. And when I feel empowered, I take action to figure things out, to learn strategies and tools that work for me. I don't quit, and I make progress on my goals. So in order to cope with ADHD, we need to do two things. One is identify the thoughts that we are currently having about our ADHD. And two is decide what we want to think about our ADHD. So, my friend, what are you currently thinking about having ADHD? Does any of this sound familiar? This isn't fair. I never finish anything. I always interrupt people and it's so embarrassing. I wish I wasn't like this. Why can't I just be like regular people? I don't want people to think I'm too much. It's a constant battle. Now, if you're thinking any of those thoughts or even a different flavor of those thoughts, my friend, I see you. You are not alone, and I'm sending you a lot of love. Those thoughts will have you feeling pretty crap, I think it's fair to say. So you might be experiencing some shame, some pity, anxiety, fear, doubt, worry, defeat, anger, annoyance, insecurities, helplessness. Okay? Familiar? And here is something that I really want you to know. I want you to understand this before we move on to changing your thoughts. I want you to know that your feelings are valid. Okay, these are normal human emotions to experience. But please don't think for a moment that you must continue and always feel this way. You are only one thought away from feeling completely different. Validate your emotions, but question your thoughts. Okay, our thoughts are what can cause us so much unnecessary pain and suffering. Now, this is something that you're going to hear me say over and over on this podcast. Okay, be kind to yourself for the way that you feel. Okay, treat yourself the way you would want to be treated, or what's another way of saying this? Treat yourself and the emotions that you're experiencing the way you would treat your best friend or your partner or your child, somebody that you love and care about who is perhaps feeling ashamed or afraid of what other people might think or pissed off that they've got ADHD. How would you respond to somebody you love and care about? Okay, that's how we want you to respond to you. Treat yourself the way you want to be treated. I remember growing up hearing my mum say, treat others the way you want to be treated, which is great, and I totally support that, but it also applies to us. We need to remember to treat ourselves the way we want to be treated and the way we want other people to treat us. Okay, because ultimately we teach other people how to treat us. So I went off on a bit of a tangent there. I'm going to bring it back. Be kind to yourself for the way that you feel, but question the thoughts that are causing you to feel this way. Next up, what do you want to think about your ADHD? Okay, here are some of my favorite thoughts. It's a superpower. So many incredible and successful people have ADHD. Having ADHD is a permission slip to not have to try and be like everybody else. And for me, it's like a permission slip to be rebellious, which I love. With or without permission, I'm going to do it anyway. Some of my favorite people have ADHD. That's so true. So many of my friends, so many people I look up to and admire, they have ADHD. Isn't that amazing to know? Having ADHD helps me to be creative and think outside the box. My ADHD is the reason I have done so many incredible things in my life. Those are just a few of my thoughts about having ADHD, and I encourage you to use them, to borrow them, to edit them, to make them your own. So what do you want to think about ADHD? Because you get to choose any thoughts you want. And remember that the thoughts you choose to think will determine how you feel about having ADHD. And how you feel will determine what you do, the actions you take in your life. Now, our brains love to answer questions. The trouble is that when we're struggling to cope with something, we are usually using disempowering questions. That might sound like, why me? How am I ever going to get over this? How am I ever going to figure this out? What else is going to go wrong? But if we give our brain empowering questions, it will also go to work to answer those. Questions like I just gave you. What do I want to think about my ADHD? How has having ADHD helped me at times? What are some of the benefits of having ADHD? Now, there are some amazing books that talk about some of the benefits of having ADHD. And one of those is, or even one person in general who is really good at sharing the positives of ADHD is Ned Hallowell, and he wrote the book ADHD 2.0. The other one that has been amazing for me is the book Faster Than Normal by Peter Shankman. So he is a very successful entrepreneur who has ADHD, and he shares many of the challenges he's had as a result and how he's worked through those and all of the tools and strategies he's put in place. But he has a real focus on so many of the positive elements of having ADHD that helped me to think about it differently and plant different seeds of thought in my brain about what it can mean to have ADHD. Okay, so back to our Psychology 101 model. When you change your thoughts about having ADHD, you will then change how you feel. And when you change how you feel, you will also change what you do. My friend, ADHD is your permission slip to stop trying to be like neurotypical people. I think that this is some of the best news ever. Because I have always been, or for such a long time, I have been this person on a soapbox preaching about getting out of the box. I've been like, live your life for you. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Get outside the box. Try something different. Screw the 9 to 5. Screw the white picket fence and doing, this whole settle down, get married, have 2.5 kids and work your way up the corporate ladder and travel once a year. Screw that. You have one life. Do what you want to do with it. Try lots of stuff. Learn what you enjoy. Learn what you don't enjoy. Play with your one life. And for me, getting diagnosed ADHD is like, no wonder I felt like that. No wonder I've been, talking about that this whole time. Because I'm not like the neurotypical people who might enjoy that. No. Isn't that the best news? I really think it is. I also think that having ADHD is like an aha moment that you've been searching for your whole life. It's like the answer to a question you may not have realized you were asking, and you finally got the answer. And it just helps you understand who you are and make more sense of your life. I think that's fantastic. ADHD is not a prison sentence by any means. I think it's the opposite. I think having ADHD is a freedom sentence. So before we wrap up, I want to tell you about a free weekly coffee and coaching call that I host. Okay, I host it over on Zoom. It's your opportunity to come and you get to meet me. You get to ask me questions. You can chat about your ADHD experiences. We can talk through different tools and strategies. I would love to coach you. You can meet some like-minded women who are also in this with you. So this call is every Monday at 12 p.m. here in New Zealand. So that's New Zealand time. If you are in the Northern Hemisphere, that is Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern every single week. Okay. So in order for you to get that Zoom link and all of the information, you're going to want to get on my email list. So head over to my website, zenajones.com/emails. Now, Zena is spelled Xena, Jones, JONES.com/emails with an S on the end. So go over there, sign up for that today, like right now, my friend, because you have ADHD. So if you're anything like me, your working memory is probably going to forget as soon as we hop off this podcast. All right, so head over to that website. I'll drop the link below the show notes so that you can click it nice and easy. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Right, huge love, my friend. I'll see you soon. Hey friend, I know exactly what it's like to feel frustrated and confused with your ADHD and to wish that you could better understand what the hell is going on in your brain. And that's exactly why I created my coaching program, Thriving with ADHD. Inside Thriving with ADHD, you learn a step-by-step process to set and finally achieve your goals, to understand yourself and your ADHD. It's where you learn to feel better and manage your emotions and create systems and processes that work for you with your ADHD brain. This is designed for you to learn how to thrive with ADHD so you can create the life that you were meant to live. Visit zenajones.com/ADHD to learn more and book a consultation.